I presented a meeting like this to people who'd only seen me as sort of my masculine Toby self, like the usual look. Is that a new person in the, like, didn't recognise me or recognised me after a while being like, wait, is that Toby?
I don't know how people do this. We're due to just stand the phone down. Anyway, I saw the cameras. When you're there, you have to go to
So I'm intersecting in here to say that in the time I actually have gone into uni now like this. This is what I wore to uni, so I'll just show you the fit. Obviously because it's cold, I actually just wore a baggy coat over the top of this. My room is so messy, so I have to move stuff as I walk backwards. But yeah, this is just the general look. I've got some Converse on at the moment, and then underneath I have this sort of thing. I really love this top, and I just sort of have some high-waisted trousers because it was a bit cold and it's quite comfy. And this is basically what I wore into uni. So at the moment my mask is actually covered in makeup. So most of the time as I was sitting in class I would have been like this. So I often have my lower half of my face actually covered during the parts that were in class. Sometimes I think about how the lower part of my face is definitely the more masculine part, and obviously I shave, but I have facial hair that can sometimes look like stubble if I don't put any makeup over it, and the makeup rubs off on the mask. But I decided to buy this wig, and it was actually something my counsellor suggested. I decided to buy a more realistic looking, just a sort of brown wig that wasn't any particular crazy colours or anything like that, just so that I could wear it into uni and have it feel less like a costume. When I go out on the weekend, it's such a big look with the massive lashes and all of the effort it takes to put me into it, and the dresses and things, that it didn't really feel like me. It just felt like me putting on a costume over the weekend. And so one thing I really wanted to do was make sure that while I'm in uni, I actually dressed up like this, and I've decided that I'm definitely, when I have time in the morning, when I get up in time to, do a bit of makeup and put a wig on, I'm definitely going to be doing that more often in uni, because I was actually really nervous and I didn't sleep that well last night because I was like, what are people gonna think? At the end of the day, I don't think that many people cared. Obviously I had a few looks, a few people is that a new person in the, didn't recognize me or recognized me after a while being like, wait, is that Toby? And obviously I looked very different. I had a mask on and hair and everything like that, and a rather out there outfit compared to a lot of the other people in the room. But I think it was so important that I did this, and yes, I'm on estrogen, so I'm generally emotional, so just allow that. I mean, I definitely should not have my shoes on my bed, but we're just going to allow it as I sit here. Let me take my shoes off because I really shouldn't have them on the bed while I'm explaining this. And I'm about to explain a lot of emotional stuff while I take my shoes off, but lol. I think it's felt more right than anything in my entire life, and I was thinking about it while listening to sort of like mildly emotional music on the way home, and I don't think there's been much else. I was just thinking about how right it feels and how I'm equally comfortable looking like my more masculine self compared to my more feminine self when I put the wigs on and everything like that. It just felt so right being out and about like that, and then also knowing that another time I'm equally happy and confident. There's a video and a few videos of me dancing around in the mirror last night, just some self-appreciation moments, just with my mullet, and just being really liking that look as well, but then equally feeling happy this way and just being so open about it. And yes, I may have people being like, oh, you mention it too much, you know, this and that, but this is relatively new to me, and every time I come out to someone as gender fluid, it just feels so freeing just to be so open about it, and the fact, it's crazy that I didn't think about it before, but I guess there's a lot of reasons behind it, which I will speak about in future videos. But there was it's crazy that I just didn't realise this before. And I think I was cutting myself off to it. And now that I've actually gone into uni, I've met people that I kind of kept this side hidden from. Like, I'm a very open person, and I'm not usually like an ashamed type of person, but going into uni, I wondered what people would think about me, going in like that, and whether there would be, but there was nothing I needed to be worried about. Today, I'm doing project management for my current research university group, where we're developing some things for Europa missions and landers and stuff like that. We're doing a research project based on that, and I'm the project manager, and so I often have to plan meetings and do all the scheduling, organising of the groups and things like that. And today I had a meeting with them, and I both had to speak to the people in the labs in terms of like the lecturers and the people who are the heads of the team at the university, and then also the students team. I had to speak to them during the meeting that was scheduled, and I have to present meetings, and I think I'm going to present more meetings like this. So I presented a meeting like this to people who'd only seen me as sort of my masculine Toby self, like the usual look. And I just, without much explanation, I just walked in like this, and I presented the meeting, and we all had a discussion for like about an hour and a bit about stuff, and just without even mentioning it at the beginning, I just decided to do that, and so that it was out of the way, and I realised there was nothing I had to really be worried about. If anyone has a problem, that's their issue. Like, I don't care. I'm just being me. Gender fluidity might confuse people, fair enough. I mean, I guess it confuses me, and it has for so many years, hence why it took me so long to get to this stage of coming out as gender fluid, or all of the genders, pangender. But I'm just glad that I'm finally here right now. Yes, my makeup at the moment I've been awake since 7 a.m. and I've just come home, and it's like 6 p.m. so it's one of those days, very busy day. I'm gonna start to get emotional about how right it feels, and in a way, I mean, I don't regret anything that's happened. I just wish I kind of had realised things sooner, so that I could have lived my best gender fluid life for a bit longer. And there's a lot I need to think about now, certainly a lot that I'm going to need to learn about, how I want to express myself, relearning a lot of feminine things. I was never exactly like the most macho mask person, but there's certain things that I'm not used to. from when I used to sort of live this particular life beforehand. And even though I slightly heighten my voice, like I speak a bit more like this, it's still like a low voice. But for me, I don't feel dysphoric in the voice, I just feel dysphoric sometimes when other people mention it. Like when someone will be like, oh, your voice is a bit low. And so even though I speak in this more sort of way, when I'm feminine, and then like usually when I'm masculine, I often drop some of the inflections and I speak a bit lower. Yeah, there are different ways that I actually speak, and I'm going to do some voice training in the future. And as estrogen kicks in, my voice should actually be able to go to higher ranges and have more of a like high-low range register. I mean, I don't know what else to say, but I feel like I had so much more to say than I have at the moment. The fact that I'm going in and I am sort of showing people, I guess, gender fluidity for the first time for some people who haven't seen it. And that I can just sort of desensitize people to it so that there'll be, you know, other gender fluid people in the future who are going to uni might have a better experience, or just non-binary or just transgender people in general. And I'm very open about it so that I can hopefully, you know, I'm happy for people to ask questions so that they don't have to ask other people in the future. And basically being a boss ass, NB, trans, whatever you want to call it, person, and also kicking ass in science. So that's basically what I've come to realize today. I work very hard at uni, and I, in the past, have sort of not given myself enough credit for the stuff I do, and also juggling certain identity things. And also, I want to say well done to anyone who's doing the same thing in terms of trying to deal with your identity and also a degree. I'm proud of all of you people in my community right now who are going through similar things, whether it be questioning your identity or, you know, dealing with a degree or any sort of education or work at the same time. It's very difficult, you know, when you're pulled between trying to think about your identity and other things. So yeah, thank you for watching. Please subscribe as well. And before we get to the sort of outro bit, please put in the comments down below what your experiences with being NB in like university or school or work or whatever are, because that is something, you know, gender fluidity in the workplace and non-binary stuff in the workplace when people don't quite understand is interesting. But one thing I also want to mention, as I'm mentioning a segment about pronouns, I just want to add this in. People now, a lot of people this week and last week have asked me what my pronouns are. And it's such a nice thing when people do. Or they've asked my friends sort of what my pronouns are, and even though at the moment I like when people call me she, they at this point, like when I'm looking like this, and you can basically assume if it's a wig, I'm she, they. If it's a wig and makeup, I'm she, they. If it's a mullet and makeup, go for they. And if it's a mullet and no makeup, probably he, they. So that's basically like the metric. Do I have a wig on or not? Do I have makeup on or not? Like, it is very, very linked in with my expression. And it's not that I'm uncomfortable with other pronouns at that time. It's just how I like to try out different things. So for example, most of the time, because I go into uni a lot and it's easier to just do the mask look, I am often called he most of the time, rarely they. And therefore, when I'm dressed like this, it's the only time I really get to have she used with me, so I kind of like to use it at that particular time because I might as well, because I hardly get she as a pronoun used the rest of the time. So it's kind of one of those things, and I'm still figuring it out, and I will let you know. Yeah, I'll let you guys know how that goes and if anything changes with that. And I'm going to have a shower after a long day at university. So yeah, I'm emotional. I'm probably gonna like put some Adele on in the shower and have like a sing and a cry, just because hormones. I think that there is something so unbelievably freeing about being so unapologetic about it. There are some days where I've gone into university and I feel like without having to explain myself, I have managed to express myself how I want and express my changes in identity without feeling the need to explain myself to anyone. Some days, midway through the day, I have gone into university and just completely changed how I look. I've gone home in a lunch break and come back in makeup. Even today, I was in the lab all day. I went away for lunch. I did some makeup. I came back. Some days I will go in and I will feel really dysphoric, looking at masculine or male in any particular way. And other days I want to go back to being super muscular and super mask. And as long as I'm aware that this is just part of my identity and that it alters and that it fluctuates and that it is actually a beautiful thing, it's just been so freeing. And I've really enjoyed going in different looks and just being so open and nonchalantly saying, yeah, I'm gender fluid. Yeah, my identity can be one thing one day, one thing the other. It can change midway through the day. I know there are going to be plenty of people that are confused by who I am, my identity, how I express it. And there are a lot of people who say they don't quite understand it. But I cannot stress enough how it is not for them to understand. Look in my eyes. It is not for anyone else to understand but you. And also, if you don't understand your own identity, that's also fine. Part of me being gender fluid, or that using the label gender fluidity, is that at all times I usually don't understand exactly what my identity is doing. I think the message of this particular video is that your identity does not need to be something that you understand or that anyone else understands. You just need to listen to how you feel and don't block yourself from living your most authentic life, or a life that is going to cause you discomfort and to feel like you're in a box that you can't quite escape. Because I was doing that for so many years, and that freeing feeling of living my best genderqueer, gender fluid, pangender, whatever label we want to put on it, but living that and just being so open now with listening to my body and what it's telling me and how I'm feeling about certain identities. And for so many years, for the years that I was identifying and out as a trans man, I used to get these terrible dreams, anxiety dreams about wanting to dress a certain way. And for some reason, and I don't know why, I pushed them down. I was like, no, I've said that I'm a trans man now, this is just who I am. Whereas in reality, it's more important to listen to your identity. I have so much to say, and I'm sure I could ramble on all day about my experience since expressing myself in my everyday life in fluctuating identities and levels of masculinity and femininity correlating to those identities. And really, all I have to say, even though I could go on about that forever, is just try it. If you're thinking about something and you've been thinking about it for quite a while, and I've had a lot of people who've messaged me like, oh, I'd really love to try this femininity or androgynous style or masculinity, but I've been too scared to do it based on how I would feel. If you're thinking about it, just try it. Or if you're too scared to do it based on how anyone else would feel or how it might look, it doesn't matter. It's your life. You've only got one of them. I just recommend experimenting and seeing how you feel, because honestly, it's been so freeing. Anyway, back to the outro. So, this is the outfit that I wore today. Possibly one of the cutest outfits I have worn in a long while. Ignore the mess that is my bed, just allow it. So I bought this really cute, lilac is my favourite colour. I bought this really cute, like, baggy, loose jumper that's in lilac with, like, clouds on. This is the update of I think possibly the final time in the week that I'm going to be going into uni in a full femme look. This is the outfit that I wore. I decided to, even though it's winter still, wear a dress underneath. So I have this sort of really nice dress that has Santa Cruz in the center, and the colors here perfectly went with the colors of this. I always keep something like covering my shoulders just because I feel like it looks better, because I still have mildly like muscular shoulders, and for myself I prefer to keep those covered a tiny bit, so I really like the fact that I could just sort of throw this over, and so that's what it's like. It's just sort of baggy and loose, even though I've only just got it. It's already my favorite. I've got this little bucket hat that has like a nice butterfly on the top, and I wore my brown sort of everyday wig. I just prefer to wear it because it just looks like a more natural color look to go with like the crazy colors of some of my outfits. And then I layered up a few necklaces. My floor is so messy, just allow it. So I then wore some like little heart thigh suspender things, some thigh high socks in black, and then some Vans, which kind of like, it sort of balances out the black hat and the black socks, so it works with like a nice pastel look.
Ryan Little.
So I just got back from uni today, and it's been a long one. I am tired, but I had a few more thoughts, because halfway through the day I went home and I changed my outfit. I actually put on this like just sort of loose baggy, I can show you what it looks like. I just generally put on this looser shirt so that I was a bit more comfy and sort of have this vibe. I wanted to speak about how I was feeling with the kind of look at the moment, and I have been around uni all day today in a very femme look. I literally basically look like one of the mean girls. It was a very preppy look, but we love it. We love lilac. It's like, I'm obsessed with lilac. I love the color. And so I was walking around, but when I went home, I put on this sort of like looser shirt, and it's more of a masculine vibe style of feminine. And I felt like maybe that would make me feel like a bit dysphoric, but it is a different type of masculinity, femininity mix altogether. And even though, yes, some people would say I still look very feminine right now with all the makeup, just putting this sort of slightly baggy shirt on doesn't really do anything. It reminded me of how I used to dress before I transitioned and before I even came out as trans, when I was sort of living my best sort of like bisexual masculine woman vibes, and I really actually quite like that. You know, it depends on what kind of vibe I'm feeling or like who I'm expressing myself in front of. For example, recently I've been speaking to a lot of women who like women and non-binary people who sort of call themselves lesbians, but are also okay with, you know, inclusive with non-binary people as well, in who they date. And it sort of just gave me that I look like a very stereotypical bisexual girl vibe, and I love that. We love it. So even though before I looked very preppy, when I put this on I thought I was gonna feel like quite dysphoric because it's the sort of shirt that I'd wear when I'm being my masked self. But the way that I put the look together actually made me feel euphoric in terms of expressing my identity as, you know, a queer woman at this particular point in my identity. So yeah, that's basically what I had to say. My makeup's kind of messed after a long day of being in uni and in the lab, but this is the sort of, I think I'm definitely gonna go with this look a lot more. I really like how I just feel in this particular expression of myself. I don't know, I just feel quite euphoric in this particular expression of myself, and it reminded me of when I used to be out as a lesbian before I came out as a trans man, and obviously now out as gender fluid. So I really kind of like this. This is how I used to dress on occasion. So I don't know, just something I thought I'd pop in there. And I got to get back to cleaning my messy room because there are wigs and loose boobs in random places. And the only issue I have with this shirt is that a boob literally fell out earlier, and I can just sort of take them out. And when I lean forward, they can fall out, and that happened. So this shirt is very easy to lose a titty, so you know, yeah. But I actually got some footage on campus today, so that was interesting because I'm pretty sure that you guys think I probably never leave this bed because every video I film is just on this bed, and that is kind of true for most of my reality, so but I promise you I do actually leave occasionally, and the video is the proof. Okay, so I actually have to go now because I have university work to do, so bye-bye.